Guys, I think it's time. It's time to tell you that the bottom might be potentially in here, and we need to start to look at other coins here. And I'm going to show you why I believe that the bottom was hit in the last 2 days. If you think it's interesting, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, like this video, and also activate the bell to never miss out on these really important updates. And now let me show you what I found here. But first, we are going to start off and talk about the ETF inflows, or let's say outflows, because they were quite crazy yesterday. We had yesterday the biggest outflow ever recorded on the Bitcoin spot ETFs, with almost 9,300 Bitcoins flowing out, 2,760 from Grayscale, which is like not that crazy. They did 3,000 and more in a single day. But look at here, BlackRock selling 608, then here FBTC 3,000, more than Grayscale, ARK 1,600, this one here 478, and the other ones a little bit more than 100 each, you know. So, but this is insane that we saw so much outflow. The good thing is it did not really have a massive impact anymore on the Bitcoin price. Of course, it drove the price down here. How much did we drop? I think we dropped like 5% yesterday. Yeah, here, and then down until today. Yeah, okay, it was another 8%. Okay, it had an impact. I don't know where I was stuck with my mind, so but it had an actual impact. Regardless, Bitcoin is trying to go back up right now, and that is what I also pointed out in yesterday's video, that potentially on the 4-hourly chart, with a little bit of time, we are going to see a V-shaped recovery. And it looks like that we are starting to form something like this. I believe that we need another 48 hours to be sure that this here was the local bottom. If it is the local bottom, then we have put in a higher low on the macro structure, because here was the other higher low. Now we have here a higher low. Here the all-time high is our higher high, and that is on the macro structure, and long term, or let's say midterm, our next target to attack. Of course, there's a lot of resistance now above us before we can reach that level, and also we need to stay afloat above the support box from where we bounce back up right now. So we need to stay above $56,000 approximately for the next, let's say, 2-3 days to confirm this as our short-term support and gain momentum from here back to the upside. So what I would like to see here over the next coming days would be at least a retest of $61,000, $62,000 and trying to flip the prior support here back into support and not turn this area into resistance. So if the Bitcoin price can manage to break back in here, break above it, retest this, and then starts trending sideways, we are golden, and we will go up in a couple of weeks again in direction of $70,000. I want to show you 2 reasons why I believe that down here was most likely the bottom. Actually, I have 3 reasons for that. The first reason that I want to show you is that even though Bitcoin was dumping like crazy, miners were still not interested in selling any Bitcoin. Actually, they were slowing even more down than the last time when I showed you this chart in selling any Bitcoin. So I can zoom in here. 26th of April was the last high oscillation. And then yesterday, nothing really, you know, from the miners. So the miners are still not interested in selling. And when you see something like this, you know, Bitcoin capitulating, but the miners don't, that shows you the miners have different plans here. You know, in prior price capitulations, miners were most of the time the reason why we were going down. Look here in December, you know, or here in February, or also here in July, you know, so last year. So there were big minor capitulations happening, you know, where they were selling out, and of course the price were tanking, but we're not seeing this in this capitulation. So, and again, that is showing us that something else is going on here. When we're going back to the Bitcoin chart, here on this 4-hourly chart, you're going to see another reason why I believe that the next target for Bitcoin is around $62,000. And that is a retest of the upper end of the EMA ribbon and the former support box that did not give us major support here on the way down, you know. So, but again, remember, I told you in this triangle structure, there is still a chance that all down this here was nothing else than a major fake out to stop hunt and liquidate everyone that was long, and then come back and actually break to the upside. So if I extend now these lines here a little bit, because as you can see, I did not do this, then we kind of get an idea where the apex is. So here that would be roughly a little bit more than 2 weeks. So we will not reach the apex. Normally we should break out way earlier if we get a breakout. So the breakout should be happening somewhere here in between in that window. So somewhere between Saturday this week and Sunday next week. That would be the perfect window to see a breakout, something like this. So I don't want to rule this out, but first Bitcoin has to come back up and test here the $62,000 level. When we are looking at the imbalances and the FEGs in the chart, so just, you know, FEGs and an imbalance is the same thing. And the FEG stands for fair value gap and needs to be equal, balanced out on the other side, you know. So when you see here an FEG, that means the price needs to come back to balance the other side out, you know. So now we saw that here, this one from yesterday got actually closed when I showed it to you. So we wicked all the way up to it and then came back down. Now we are again coming back up. Here the underlying support area here is basically the same that I've shown you here on this chart down here. Once we are breaking above $59,000 and can stay above that level, we will go really quickly to the next fair value gap that is now here. And look where this is lining up with. It is $61,600, almost $700 to $63,000. And from there, I expect another corrective move to the downside and that we stay somewhere here in the middle above 60K. So I believe the new trading range for Bitcoin over the next 2-3 weeks will be in between this range here, from around, let's say, $58,000, $59,000 to like $64,000. That is, in my opinion, the new trading range that we are forming right now. But here comes the other thing. At the same time, altcoins will finally move like crazy. And I also going to show you proof for that in a moment. Here on the weekly chart, nothing has really changed here since the last time that we spoke about it. The only thing that I want to see here over the weekend, before we close the weekly candle, is that we reclaim or at least wick back into this former support area and close the weekly candle within that zone. We don't need to come all the way up here, you know, and be above that. Just to be within that zone is for me more than enough. And also here the stochastic RSI, with such a move to the downside that we have seen now over the last couple of days, we're definitely going to hit the bottom and get our bullish cross then the next week. And that will then also reflect in the Bitcoin price. So next week should be overall a really, really good week for crypto. And guys, don't forget, if you want to trade anywhere, and then do this on BYBIT. That's still the exchange where I trade the most. You still get $30,000 if you sign up with my link, or on Margex, where you can copy trade me without any KYC, and also just futures trade if you want. I have actually a big Solana trade open there. And if you don't like Margex and you want an alternative to BYBIT, then BITGET and Phemex are the platforms to go for you. If you're in the UK or in the US, you can use both of them, which is amazing. And if you just want to copy trade me, go to FAIRDESK. There you still get the highest bonus in the industry, $120,000. All these links are in the pinned comment below and in the description of the video. And if you sign up with one of these links, you are heavily supporting the channel, which I, of course, highly appreciate. So now let me actually show you something else here. When we go into the lower time frames, here on the 1 hourly chart was a symmetrical triangle that we formed, or bear pennant, so to speak. And it looks like that we want to go to the upside instead to the downside. So here the upside target would be, again, around $62,000. So you see, again, we have a lot of confluence for these levels to get there. But the only thing that is concerning me here on the 1 hourly chart is the high stochastic RSI. The stochastic RSI can stay here for a really long time and flatline in the top section, you know. So the indicator that I'm more interested in to watch here is, first of all, the MACD, that the MACD stays green, and also that the RSI keeps climbing up. So what I don't want to see is price action starting going sideways while the RSI keeps climbing, because at some point we will create a bearish divergence. We are going to see a reversal, but that's what we not want to see. So if we will continue to move here to the upside, out of this pattern, $62,000 is the upside target, more or less. If you're not in a trade yet, you can technically open one around these prices. So here I'm gonna give you a range from 58,500 to 59,275 and trade this to $62,000. So now let's say you would enter here at 59, upside, stop loss down here. Yeah, so it's not the best risk to reward ratio, but for a scalp trade, this would be still fine for me, you know, to scalp. So I would maybe adjust my stop loss and make it a little bit higher. Yeah, I would my stop loss put kind of like here. So yeah, so my stop loss would be at $58,000. And then you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio, 5% move to the upside. If you would scalp this with 30x, you know, 150% to the upside against a 50% stop loss risk, don't bet the house on that trade, you know. So, but for a scalp trade, that would be fine, you know. So I'm gonna leave that here for you. The second reason why Bitcoin is showing so much, or let me put it this way, why I believe Bitcoin has bottomed is that altcoins showing a lot of strength right now. But why do they show a lot of strength? So that has something to do with the halving actually. I marked here again in these dashed lines where the halving was in 2020 and also the actual halving and how Bitcoin was acting afterwards and also currently. So what we can see in 2020 in that zone is that Bitcoin went sideways for around, how many days was this? We went sideways here, 11, 27, 50, for 77 days we went sideways before we saw Bitcoin starting to move here to the upside. Now, at the same time, when that happened, when the halving happened, the dominance started losing massively here, gains, and basically started a small downtrend until it bottomed out here. And at the same time, Bitcoin started going up, you know, then one small retracement and went on a massive run. And this is basically reflecting also here. That run was when the dominance was gaining momentum again and pushing to the upside. Same what happened the last bull run. Just after the halving, dominance is starting to go down. And that is telling me that altcoins will have a massive run right now once Bitcoin will confirm in the next 48 hours that we actually hit the bottom. It will take 24 to 48 hours. If we can stay above $57,000, $58,000, then you know the bottom is to a high certainty already in, and you're going to see a lot of altcoins performing massively in this run. The third reason is something that I'm going to show you here in just a moment. When we go to the liquidation levels, actually I have 4 reasons. So the fourth reason is that below us is not really any liquidity anymore that can be grabbed for market makers unless they really want to push it to like $50,000. Only then they can find any major liquidity that would make sense for them to take out, you know. So, but now ask yourself, who do you want to punish now in this market? Everybody that went long got already punished. Which side did not get punished yet? The shorters. Everybody that went short from 66, 63, 62, you know, even 60s, the late shorters, everybody, all these shorters did not get punished. So from a market maker perspective and from a liquidity perspective, liquidity is to the upside. It doesn't make sense to try to push down here into these long liquidation levels if you have all the liquidity above you. You know, we have $10 billion worth of short liquidity above us if we go to $75,000. So how much do we have here? Here we have kind of like $7 billion. So, but you need to push down here the price way more than now to the upside to start liquidating everybody. We have to see what's going to happen here, but I believe this move here, $56,700, most likely this was the bottom candle. If not, and we break that low, then yes, then there is a chance that we actually go down and take out this liquidity down here before we see a move back to the upside. But as long as that low is holding, direction is to the upside. The fourth reason is funding rates. When we're looking at the funding rate heat map overall, the market has completely cooled down here when we look at this. So now I want to show you something else here again. When we go back and have a look, when the funding rates were hot and then were coming down, how long did it take for them to basically catching some heat again, where people started leveraging like crazy, you know? So here, around the 3rd of January was when the last time the funding rates completely resetted and went cool. You know, you see it also up here in this area too. And then WIF is an outlier, you know, so I would ignore that for now. But then look how long it took until we catched here again some higher funding rates. 26th of February. So this is 54 days. On the 1st of April, the funding rates went flat. Now we are at the 2nd of May. So we are here right now at 32 days. So worst case, we have to wait another 2 weeks, you know, before the market starts to heat up again for like 2-3 weeks. But the best time to start buying is, in my opinion, right now, as long as, again, Bitcoin is holding the low at $56,700. You know, lose that low, and I will cut also all my trades that I just entered, you know, at a small loss. I'm prepared to do that. Here, when we are looking directly on the Bitcoin dominance chart, you see we are trying to break now under this upward sloping support line. Once we are doing that, you're gonna see most likely another big red candle to the downside, and we will get this tomorrow if the Bitcoin dominance will stay as it is right now. So this is a doji candle after a big move to the downside. Normally that is, if we stay in a candle like this, then tomorrow we get a continuation candle to the downside. That is one scenario. The other one would be we get a reversal candle in green for whatever reason, and also and continue to go up here. So, but right now everything looks like that tomorrow will be a continuation candle to the downside. And if Bitcoin is going just sideways or goes a little bit up at the same time, then this will be really, really good for altcoins overall. The USDT dominance is also finally losing steam. Exactly as I said to you guys yesterday, you know, so if we see here a rejection from that zone and break 5%, then we know the bottom is in, and we're gonna see altcoins seeing a nice run here. So right now we are on the way down. We are at 5.15%. So we need to wait here a little bit, but I think over the next coming days, we will come back to 5%, potentially break this level. And then we know for sure, because that will be the nail in a coffin to determine if we actually hit the bottom. When we look at Ethereum, look at this. This is beautiful on the 4-hourly chart, how this is looking. This is kind of like already a V-shaped recovery. And now when we are completing the V-shape, we are filling this imbalance here on the Ethereum chart on the way up, and then also here the bottom is confirmed that it was all the way down here. So am I right now exposed to Ethereum in a trade? Yes, I am. I'm trading it. I got in here at $2,900. That's the level where I went in. Are you too late? No, you are not too late, but I would maybe trade the imbalance then to $3,140 once we are breaking $3,000. So that's like a 4% move. If you scalp this with 20x leverage, it's again 80%, you know, so it's worth to take the trade. But I would be careful around the $3,150 level because of the volume traded area here and and the imbalance that is then filled. So I would just protect myself from, if I would have a long position, from a potential turnaround here. So if you trade with like 3x or something, you can hold it. It's fine. So but if you trade with 50x, 20x, it's not fine. You should take profit here, or at least have like your stop loss somewhere here, just in case it turns against you, that you are protected. When we're going to the daily chart for Ethereum, then also here you see that within that falling wedge, we are starting to see here signs that the price action is coming back to the downward sloping resistance line, and that the underlying support level was not even touched. So that is also a bullish sign here. And another bullish sign is that the stochastic RSI is bottoming out here today. The RSI is already pointing to the upside, and also the MACD is not super bearish here, with both trend lines the signal line and the trend line being intertwined, and most likely printing a lighter red candle tomorrow with a potential retest of $3,150 by tomorrow. If you want to be a little bit more risk adverse here in your trading, you can already enter around $3,022, but again, I would look for first profits at $3,160 if you are trading with high leverage. With low leverage, you can let it run, and my first take profit point would be here the golden ratio at around $3,680. Now Solana is also going back up here really nicely. We have reclaimed here on the 4-hourly chart for now this former support level, so which was really short-lived, acting as resistance, but we're not out of the woods yet, because we have here the upward sloping trend line acting as resistance and the downward sloping trend line acting as resistance here. The highest that I can see for now for Solana would be $146, and then we have to reevaluate how the price action is developing, just because of all these resistances that we are seeing here, and also the stochastic RSI being overextended, the RSI massively pointing to the upside, but still in bullish territory, not overextended, which could potentially mean that we are seeing here a fake out to the upside to like $156, come back for a retest of this downward sloping trend line, and then bouncing back up, and then actually see a proper run. So if you want to trade Solana, then the first level of entry for me would be around $140 if you're not in a trade yet, or if you believe that we are going to retrace first a little bit lower again, then $130 would be a good entry for you. And then I would trade this to like $155, $170. Long-term positions I would hold beyond $200. And guys, that's it already for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you understood why I believe the bottom is in. Of course, I can be wrong, but let's see how it's going to play out. And don't forget to smash up the like button, the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you then again tomorrow.